Hi kids, welcome to day 16 of our City of Ember read aloud. In the part we read last time, Lena and June were reading the journal that had been left by someone from the other city, the city above Ember. And so this was Lena and June's first time finding out that there were, in fact, other people that lived in the real world before them. And it talked about how they were going into Ember, the underground city, as a place to be safe from whatever plagues and famines and wars were going on in the real world. And they were older people who were each given 2 babies, and they were just going to start a whole new world of people. And the babies they were given, there was a boy and a girl, and they named them Star and Forest. And so Lena and June were finding out all about that and how they went down into the underground city as a place of safety. And that's about where we left off. So all day long they searched for another way in. They're wondering if they can go back down into Ember to tell June's dad and Mrs. Murdo and Clary and the others that they found a way out, but they don't know how they can get back to Ember because they can't go back up current on this strong, powerful river current. So that's what they're searching for when it said they searched for another way in. Under the brow of the hill, they found a hole where a stream wandered into the dark. The water was good to drink, but the hole was far too small for them to fit through. There were gullies full of shrubs, and Lena and June crawled among the leaves and prickly branches, but found no openings. Bugs buzzed around their ankles and past their eyes. Brown earth stained their hands, and pebbles got into their shoes. Their thick, dark, shabby clothes got all full of prickly things, and since they were much too hot anyhow, they took most of them off. They had never felt such warmth against their skin and such soft air. When the bright circle was at the top of the sky, they sat for a while in the shade of one of the tall plants on the side of the hill, in a place where the thick brush gave way to a clearing. Poppy went to sleep, but Lena and June sat looking out over the land. Green was everywhere, in different shades, like a huge, brilliant, gorgeous version of the overlapping carpets back in the rooms of Ember. Far away, Lena saw a narrow gray line curving like a pencil stroke across a sweep of green. She pointed this out to June, and both of them squinted hard at it, but it was too far away to see clearly. "Could it be a road?" said Lena. "It could," said June. "Maybe there are people here after all." "I hope so," said June. "There's so much I want to know." They were still gazing at the far-off bit of gray when they heard something moving in the brush nearby. Leaves rustled. There was a scraping, shuffling sound. They stiffened and held their breath. The shuffling paused, then started up again. Was it a person? Should they call out? But before they could decide what to do, a creature stepped into the clearing. It was about the same size as Poppy, only lower to the ground because it walked on 4 legs instead of 2. Its fur was a deep rust red, its face was a long triangle, its ears stood up in points, and its black eyes shone. It trotted forward a few steps, absorbed in its own business. Behind it floated a thick, soft-looking tail. All at once it saw them and stopped. By the way, what kind of animal do you think it is? To me, it sounds like a fox. All at once, it saw them and stopped. Lena and June stayed absolutely still. So did the creature. Then it took a step toward them, paused, tilted its head a little as if to get a better look, and took another step. They could see the sheen, or shine, of its fur and the glint of light in its eyes. For a long moment they stayed like this, frozen, staring at one another. Then, unhurriedly, the creature moved away. It pushed its nose among the leaves on the ground. It wandered back toward the bushes, and when it raised its head again, they saw that it was holding something in its white teeth, something round and purplish. With a last glance at them, it leapt toward the bushes, its tail sailing, and disappeared. Lena let out her breath and turned to look at June, whose mouth was open in astonishment. His voice shaky, he said, "That was the most wonderful thing I have ever seen, ever in my whole life." Yes. And it saw us, Dune said, and Lena nodded. They both felt it, that they had been seen. The creature was utterly strange, not like anything they had ever known, and yet when it looked at them, some kind of recognition passed between them. I know now, said Dune. This is the world we belong in. A few minutes later, Poppy woke up and made fretful noises, and Lena gave her the last of the peas in Dune's pack. What was that, do you think, in the creature's mouth? She said. Would it be something we could eat? A fruit of some kind? It looked like the color of the pictures of peaches on cans. It looked like the pictures of peaches on cans, except for the color. They got up, poked around, and soon they came across a plant whose branches were laden with the purple fruits, about the size of small beets, only softer. Dune picked one and cut it open with his knife. There was a stone inside, which was actually the pit, like the seed of it. Red juice ran out over his hands. Cautiously, he touched his tongue to it. It's sweet, he said. If the creature can eat it, maybe we can too, said Lena. Shall we? They did. Nothing had ever tasted better. Lena cut the stones out and gave chunks of the fruit to Poppy. Juice ran down their chins. When they had eaten 5 or 6 apiece, they licked their sticky fingers clean and started to explore again. They went higher up the slope that they were on, wading through flowers as high as their waists, and near the top they came upon a kind of dent in the ground, as if a bit of the earth had caved in. They walked down into it, and at the end of the dent they found a crack about as tall as a person, but not nearly as wide as a door. Lena edged through it sideways and discovered a narrow tunnel. Send Poppy through, she called back to Dune, and come yourself. But it was dark inside, and Dune had to go back to where he'd left his pack to get a candle. By candlelight, they crept along until they came to a place where the tunnel ended abruptly. But it ended not with a wall, but with a sudden, huge nothingness that made them gasp and step back. A few feet beyond their shoes was a sheer, dizzying drop. They looked out into a cave so enormous that it seemed almost as big as the world outside. Far down at the bottom shone a cluster of lights. What could that be? It's Ember, Lena whispered. They could see the tiny, bright streets crossing each other, and the squares, just chips of light, and the dark tops of buildings. Just beyond the edges was the immense darkness. Oh, our city, Dune. Our city is at the bottom of a hole. She gazed down through the gulf, and all of what she had believed about the world began to slowly break apart. We were underground, she said, not just the pipeworks, everything. She could hardly make sense of what she was saying. Dune crouched on his hands and knees, looking over the edge. He squinted, trying to see the minute specks, minute means really small, the minute specks that might be people. What's happening there, I wonder? Could they hear us if we shouted? I don't think so. We're much too far up. Maybe if they looked into the sky, they'd see our candle, said Lena. But no, I guess they wouldn't. The street lamps would be too bright. Somehow we have to get word to them, said Dune. And that was when the idea came to Lena. Our message, she cried. We could send our message. And they did. Remember, they're talking about the message that they meant to leave for Clary but forgot about. From her pocket, Lena took the message that Dune had written, the one that was supposed to have gone to Clary, explaining everything. In small writing, they squeezed in this note at the top. Dear people of Ember, we came down the river from the pipeworks and found the way to another place. It is green here and very big. Light comes from the sky. You must follow the instructions in this message and come on the river. Bring food with you. Come as quickly as you can. Lena Mayfleet and Dune Harrow. They wrapped the message in Dune's shirt and put a rock inside it. Then they stood in a row at the edge of the chasm, Dune in the middle holding Poppy's hand and Lena's. Lena took aim at the heart of the city far beneath her feet. With all her strength, she cast the message into the darkness, and they watched as it plunged down and down. Mrs. Murdo, walking even more briskly than usual to keep her spirits up, was crossing Harkin Square when something fell to the pavement just in front of her with a terrific thump. How extraordinary, she thought, bending to pick it up. It was a sort of bundle. She began to untie it. Will Mrs. Murdo understand the note? Will the rest of the citizens of Ember escape? Read the first chapter of The People of Sparks to find out. So this is the end of City of Ember, which I know you might be thinking, that's a terrible ending. And yes, I agree, that is a terrible ending if that was all there was. But there is another book. Book 2 is The People of Sparks. And haven't decided yet, but I'll probably read chapter 1 because it's included with City of Ember. I'll probably read later chapter 1 of People of Sparks. But my challenge to you students is to maybe go to the library or somewhere and check out The People of Sparks if you can and read it yourself this summer. It's really good, and it continues where this book left off, and there's some new characters in it. The People of Sparks is about the people that live in the real world, this world above that Lena and Dune are just discovering. And it's really good too. I usually would read it to my class as well, but I don't think I want to go on with a whole brand new book this summer because I know not very many of you are going to want to keep up with that. But maybe you could read it on your own. So I'll probably still read chapter 1 of People of Sparks next time. I'll probably do one more video. And also, this is the bummer part. I was going to show the video of this to my class after we finished the book, but there is a movie of this, so maybe if you're able to find it, I don't know if it's on Netflix or not, but maybe you might be able to find it, the movie of the City of Ember. It's very different than the book, but it's always fun to kind of compare them and see what you like better. So that is the official end of City of Ember.